not on who I am. So what can she do against David Coulthard? Let's see as they go racing here at the former Olympic Park.
Coulthard with the white highlights and Susie Wolff with the orange highlights on her Mercedes. The Scottish colours, the saltire. It's going to be very hard, I'm afraid, to tell them from the outside without the highlights on the cars, because they are both racing under the same flag.
This is where it gets personal, doesn't it? Forget the fun and games in the bars last night, forget the team camaraderie. This is where Susie Wolff will be desperate to try and prove she's got what it takes to take on David Coulthard.
Halfway round the race, and it is Coulthard that's first at the line. Susie has got a big hole to dig herself out of here. Second heat, and if there's required a third heat, will all be in these Mercedes, so they will become more familiar with the car. So that means that Susie will find more pace in it, but it also probably means that DC will as well. Half of that left to go. Coulthard with the advantage.
So it looks to me as if David Coulthard is going to take this win quite easily. Comes through to the start-finish line, the lights go out, and it is David Coulthard who takes that win by a very healthy margin of 2.89 seconds. You can see there the passenger is having a whale of a time with David Coulthard. Experienced man of driving and has been teaching some of our celebrities here this weekend exactly how to master a car when it comes to celebrity skills.
So if Onslow's in that seat, I wonder which ne'er-do-well is in the other side with Susie.
Whoever it is having a fantastic event out there, just as the sun starts to set here in London.
We do try and match the weight of the passengers as closely as we can, but we don't match the weight of the drivers. So it's not an all-up weight, we're just trying to make sure the passengers don't convey or any advantage or disadvantage. David versus the Wolf.
And this is a must-win race for Susie Wolff. She will not want to enter her motorsport career just yet. If she can help it, she'd like to go on a little bit more, maybe make it best of 3. But David Coulthard will have something to say about that. Remember, a place competing against Felipe Massa awaits whoever wins this round of the heat.
So the battle of the Scots. DC 1 up. Susie Wolff needs to win this one, must win this one to stay in the competition.
Susie Wolff with the orange highlight, remember David Coulthard with a white highlight.
It's not close enough though for Susie Wolff. DC has the lead.
DC giving a masterclass here. He's used to doing that at the moment. He's still driving a lot of the time, even though he's not in Formula 1 anymore. But as he comes around here, he's giving the fans something to get excited about.
Race for Mercedes in DTM, of course, for several seasons as well. So
he's our reigning champion of champions, isn't he?
He is our champion of champions.
So he wants to keep the title in his hands as he comes around the final turn here. He whips across the start-finish line and does it in 2 as Susie Wolff snakes all over the place coming across there.
Not always been Formula 1 drivers that win, but at the moment they are looking strong. So our next heat is lining up, but let's hear from Jolyon Palmer.
Just wait here, because then when they got
yeah, a bit short and sweet, so a little bit disappointing, but yeah, Alex drove well. And I can be first back to the bar, so it's all good.
Win-win. Your second time at Race of Champions. How have you found it this year?
Yeah, really good. I've enjoyed in my home city of London. It's been great. I think the atmosphere is fantastic. Luckily, we've had a lot of fans turn up, so it's made it really great for us. I think the stadium event as well is it's really good, so it's been great to be part of, and I hope to be back.
Thanks a lot, Jolyon.
So Jolyon Palmer there talking to Azzy Farney, and we are off for the next race. This is Christensen Events PK Junior in the Euro NASCAR, of course. PK Junior coming in having won the Formula E Championship, and TK, well, he is Mr. Le Mans, having competed that. This is a very different track from a Le Mans track. It's just around 560 meters, so you couldn't get more different. But let's see who can take this one. PK didn't get much driving yesterday, did he? Christensen got a little bit more, so I think PK would like to prove his prowess in that car.
South American and British Formula 3 champion. He raced for 3 seasons in the Xfinity NASCAR series and in the NASCAR Trucks series, so he has got prior with these cars. Unlike Pascal Verlaine, the rock crunchy gearbox and the 3-pedal layout won't be unfamiliar to him. However, it does look as though Christensen has an advantage in terms of pace here. And one of the things that, we heard from Jolyon Palmer saying, only did a few laps all weekend. The further you progress in Nations Cup, the better it is for you when you come to this Champions of Champions, because you've got more time in the car, more time on the track. It's all extra learning. Christensen goes 1 up, and of course he went a long way with the Nordic team with Petter Solberg yesterday, whereas the Brazilians were eliminated early on. So that does mean that Tom has got a little bit more track time under his belt.
Piquet Jr. having a good weekend though this week and thoroughly enjoying being here in London. He did go up onto the Asselor Mittel Orbit, which is the bright red towering building just outside here. He paid his £12, went up to the top, had a good view from 114.5 metres, and then came back down again. So he can see where he was on top of the world yesterday, but can he be on top of the world today? That's the question. If he needs to win against Tom Christensen right now, if he can continue and progress through into the next round of this competition, and they are off. A lot of wheel spin there from Piquet Jr.
Alcino again in that difficult position. Have we had anybody overturn a first round loss yet? I'm not sure we have. If you lose the first one, you're halfway out the door, and this is really, really tricky.
Yeah, I think the only person that's overturned it was Pascal Verlaine, who won his first heat, but then obviously we had all the drama with that big crash and shunt, so
correct.
Not really representative. So can we see a turnover this time out as they come round? We can get a gauge of where they are. And Tom Christensen looks like he's just sneaking ahead of Piquet Jr. once again.
So Andy Priaulx, the only man to lose Heat 1 and go through, and whoa! Piquet really throwing the Euro NASCAR around. Well, he was just slightly ahead on the overlap, but the 2 elements of the track are slightly different lengths. He's really, really pushing this out. Now it doesn't matter if he hits the barriers because he's going out anyway if he's behind. So it is Christensen who takes it 2-0. Mr. Le Mans goes through, and Mr. Formula E, is that a thing?
Yep, it is now. We'll do a calendar, it'll be special edition, it'll be amazing.
If I say it twice more on air, it...
Going to grab a quick word with Rob Smedley, Williams head of performance. Felipe looks pretty relaxed. Didn't have much running yesterday, but down to the individual competition, how seriously do you sense these guys take this?
Not very. No, they're all super competitive, aren't they? And they all obviously want to do really, really well. As much as they try to act relaxed and act like it's just a little end of season soiree, it's not. It's competitive for them, and they all want to win it.
Is it nice to socialise? I see you having a quick word with Jensen, out of team colours, if I could put it that way. Is it a special atmosphere here?
Yeah, it's really nice. It's always nice to put on such a good show, and I think the organisers, the whole event, the thing is absolutely outstanding. It brings everybody from not only Formula 1 but all the different formula together, and I think it's just really nice to see, race, rally, and we're just, I've got lots of friends in this business, and it's just nice to have a little social weekend with our families and the kids and the drivers and the engineers, and we're all just running around together.
Yeah. And I guess that's the point. It's easy for kids to understand this as well. It's a family atmosphere. Could F1 in any way learn a little bit from events like this?
Yeah, absolutely it could. I mean, it's all about entertainment, isn't it? You're entertained from the minute you walk in the door to the minute you walk out, and I think that us, especially in Formula 1, I think that we have to think a little bit about the markets that we serve, the audiences that we're playing to, and maybe entertain them a little bit more.
Enjoy the rest of the afternoon.
Thanks very much.
Neither of them drives, frankly.
No, this is a fun car that you can really let rip in, can't you? You can get some spin, you can get a little bit of bounce as well. I can tell you, in the orange highlighter car, that is Romain Grosjean. In the white car, that is Jason Plato. I wonder if he's got his booster seat in there once again.
Grosjean, that was Andy Pryor, wasn't it, in the KTM? Grosjean's passenger there cheekily waving out of the car at the camera as they went by it.
That'll slow them down.
Not at all.
There's not much in it.
There is very little in it.
Grosjean currently down 0.25, so he needs to make up a little bit of time. He takes a big bit of the curve there. That was Plato taking a big bit of the curve there.
Grosjean's passenger there punching the air in delight, half a lap early.
It's confusing when you're in the car to know which lap you're on.
Well, he can't count to 4. You've got to get to the arch 4 times. So here they come to the arch, and it is going to be a narrow win for Jason Plato. A very narrow win for Jason Plato. 0.03 of a second. 0.0349. Wow. That is very close indeed. Plato just sneaking it away. So Grosjean got to grips with the car on the second lap, much better than he had on the first. Look how low the tyre pressures are here to try and keep temperature in these Michelin tyres. They're all on groove tyres. Surface is drying still, but away from the dry patches, it will be very slick indeed. And that's a hard thing to balance.
Let's see what Grosjean can do this time on the inside lane. Let's see if there is a little bit of an advantage to that. So Grosjean on the inside lane, and it will be Plato on the outside. Remember, Plato in the white car, the orange tipped one with Grosjean in it. The lights are on. They head off. Good start from both of our men in the Ariel Atom Cup.
So this is for a place in the quarter-final round against Super Dane Tom Christensen.
That's a daunting prospect, isn't it?
Apologies, John Nielsen, for snitching the nickname. And Grosjean must win this one to stay in it. And Plato, if he wins this one, is going to have to stay away from the bar for at least another half an hour.
Oh, they're really pushing this. You can hear the squealing of the tyres almost under duress as they come round. Let's get a gauge of where they are.
Oh, and Plato again with a slender margin. It was about 0.3 last time. This race, it's 0.6, and Grosjean really needs to find something in this final lap of the track. Halfway round, he's really ditch hooking now, clipping those high curbs. And there's JP. He does look very smooth, Plato.
Yeah, and coming around here on the outside. Oh, he takes the curve, but it's a nice smooth line.
This is close, but I think Plato's got it. Yes, it is, and it wasn't as close as it could have been. Grosjean seemed to lose a little bit of ground in the last corner, and Plato wins by very nearly a second. 2-0, Jason Plato.
Well, goodness me, Johnny. Plato has certainly raised his game since yesterday. He said he was carried through yesterday by his teammate, but look at that.
All change around again. Romain Grosjean, a former winner of the ROC as well. So that's a bit of a surprise. I thought they'd be at least down to that sort of last one-off head-to-head, but it didn't get that way.
Okay, we can hear it now from Williams driver Felipe Massa. He's with Craig Slater.
Well, Felipe, you didn't have the greatest of days yesterday, but it looks like you've got your eye in now today, is that fair?
Yeah, today it was a better start. So I won my first hit yesterday. I lost straight away, so yeah, it's a little bit better. I hope we can carry on like that.
You brought in Rob Smedley. Is he giving you a few inside tracks? I mean, that's taking things to extremes, isn't it? Bringing in your performance engineer.
Yeah, the only thing he brought is his kids to play with my son. So don't worry, we didn't even discuss about the track.
Can you go all the way? Do you think?
I will try. I'll try everything I can. For sure, I drove much less than everybody because I left straight away yesterday. So I have a little bit less mileage, but I will try.
So how do you think you'll fare against Coulthard?
Well, it'd be a little terrier like he is in the Formula One racetrack, so I think it'll be a bit of a tight one. But what I'm noticing today, they're throwing the cars a lot more than they were yesterday, so they know this is where they've got to really push themselves to the limit, and they certainly are doing that.
The conditions are drying all the time, aren't they?
Yeah, which is great because of course it's changing for each time they get sort of out on track, so they've got to sort of relearn the track at the same time. But of course they know that the guy they're up against is going to be sort of learning in the same way. So it's just trying to get that advantage you can on that first lap if you can.
Okay, time for the last quarter final.
Prio, our Nations Cup champion of yesterday with Jason Plato versus Ryan Hunter-Reay. Now, both of them have already won 2 races in these cars. Prio won in, and Hunter Ray was in the... Oh, I can't scroll down that far on the screen. See, they were in the buggy. Was he in the buggy or the Atom?
Hang on a minute, caller, hold the line, I will tell you.
He was in the Atom, wasn't he?
Hunter Ray was in the ROC car.
Ah, he was in the ROC buggies. So, Prio slightly more familiar than having Ray. Oh, no, they were in
He
the
was in the
NASCARs, weren't
NASCAR.
they? They were in the NASCARs, yes.
This is radical. I can actually say that and not sound not cool. First time today.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at the line, Andy Prio looking smooth, and Ryan Hunter-Ray looking for some speed. Ooh, big handful of opposite there as the tail came round.
Love that in-car shot with the GoPros. It looks amazing.
Really working hard at the wheel. Sequential shifter, paddle shift in this car. You don't want to take your hands off the wheel of a Radical SR3 too many times. Well,
Sorry. Well, I was just going to say Prio's gone so fast that he's taken the flag off the rear of his car. But he comes through and takes victory. That's how fast he was going. Hunter Ray, a fairly significant chunk of time behind him, 2.79 seconds. Prio with the booster seat in this time. Little cushion behind his back, wasn't it?
Little cushy.
Just to help him reach the pedals.
So Andy Prio claiming victory, and is this where he lost the flag? He had a little brush with the barriers. No yellow card being shown. However, rubbing the car along the barrier is not quite as quick as not rubbing the car along the barrier, so they'll be trying to avoid that.
That is the hashtag you can see on the front of the car. It is ROC London. If you are going to get in touch, you can either use the hashtag ROC London or at Race of Champions. We will try and get on to some of you. The Toro Rosso drivers with their fathers, Verstappen's and Sainz, says Mark Lobus. Thank you very much for getting in touch. Keep them coming in. Got lots of suggestions.
So Andy Prio 1-0 up in the white Ariel Atom. With the inside lane is Ryan Hunter-Ray, who must win this one. Prio in the black, Radical SR3 rather, not Ariel Atom. So Prio 1-0 up. And he came back from 1-0 down in the NASCARs against Pascal Verlaine. I don't think that it's going to be quite the same scenario. Ryan Hunter-Ray looks fairly at home in this car. SR3 1.5 litre 4-cylinder normally aspirated engine in the back. 0 to 60 a mere 3.1 seconds. These things get off the line like a scalded cat.
Best way. That's how we like it.
256 brake horsepower in a car that weighs a fraction over half a tonne.
I think Prio looks very comfortable in this car right now, and I think he is on a mission to win this year.
Prio just bringing the power in where he needs it most. There we go, just try and keep that momentum alive. And that is 2-0, and that is Prio through. So one of our Brits, we have 3 Brits in the
Lots of overalls, helmets, all sorts of side attire going in there, and Michael Schumacher's last race suit that he wore in Formula One will also go on there, and we will hope to raise an awful lot of money for 3 very good causes. Please do read up a little bit more about that when you can at raceofchampions.com.
So, the end of our round of 16, already winners, Alex Buncombe and Bradley Philpott to get into this stage. Buncombe, away he goes, and Bradley Philpott looked like he was fairly relaxed in his first encounter, and having won one, now he moves on. Do you know what? Doesn't matter, and that's the best place to be when you're a competitor, relaxed and not feeling any pressure. Alex Buncombe, this year's Blancpain Endurance Season champion.
A little bit different from driving this sort of car, isn't it? The Ariel Atom Cup. Light on its feet as it tippy-toes around, and this will be the first gauge we get of who is leading.
0 to 60, 2.9 seconds, the Ariel Atom. 245 brake horsepower, weighs 550 kilos, so just a smidge less than the Radical. 445 brake horsepower per tonne. That's a quick machine. And at the line, Alex Buncombe, as you might expect, has an advantage. Bradley Philpott is going to go one down here unless Buncombe bins it. One of the reasons he's a Nismo athlete is he is a very safe pair of hands at speed.
It was a bumpy entry into that last turn though, but it does go to Alex Buncombe, who is over a second ahead of Bradley Philpott. So that was round one of the competition. It goes to round two. Jenson Button and Al Buncombe, very good friends, both of them Somerset boys, but this is no tractor they're handling, no. This is the Ariel Atom Cup and it goes slightly faster than a tractor.
So this could be Somerset versus Guernsey in our final quarter-final. This is for a place up against Andy Prio. Al Buncombe, one of the few drivers who races in glasses. Doing a good job here. Neat, tidy, controlled. All the work that he does with the GT Academy drivers, quite a lot of what they do is not dissimilar to this. And that's got to be helping just a little with that ability to transfer knowledge onto this individual track.
Philpott really took a right-hand side start on the starting line to that race. Obviously wanted to line himself up for the first turn, give himself the best possible chance of winning this heat and going through.
Just pleased to be here, like everybody else, but oh no, if I'm right by the wall, I'll get a much quicker run into the corner. I can keep the power on longer. He knows what he needs to do. He's just got to try and somehow find a way to wrestle the lead back away from Alex Buncombe and make this 1-all.
Slippy slidey though and tentative stuff, but as they come around, this is going to be quite close as we go into the second half of this race. Buncombe has the advantage, 6/10 up at the moment on Bradley Philpott. Bradley desperately wanting to go through to the next round.
Bradley Philpott versus Alex Buncombe to go head-to-head with Andy Prio. At the end of this, we'll have an all-British quarter-final. At the end of that, we will have at least one British semi-finalist.
And it looks like it is just too much to come back at, and Al Buncombe looks to have secured himself a place. Yes, he crosses the line. It will be Buncombe versus Prio.
Okay, so Al Buncombe through. That's 4 Brits through to the quarterfinals. We know our lineup now. Coulthard, obviously, and then 3 Englishmen. What do you make of the first one? Cast your mind back when Vettel beat Solberg and Hülkenberg beat Ricciardo. They were teammates yesterday.
Yeah.
And now they're up against each other in the quarters. And no German has ever won this competition.
No, very true, actually.
So astonishing.
One of those, I think, is going to be very good. The man that stood out for me was Hülkenberg.
Yeah.
And I noticed it yesterday. He's very good off of the turns. If you actually watch him off the last turn on the outside lane, he's really good at getting and shooting the car out. And that seems to be in all the cars that he gets into, but more so actually in that Mercedes-Benz. So I think that's going to be a tough one. But I'm looking forward to Christensen and Plato as well. You've got the tin top man against the 9-time Le Mans winner as well. And Plato seems to have sort of got to grip with it today. So I think actually that battle is going to be really, really good as well.
It's so exciting to see such a mix-up, isn't it? And Hülkenberg, such a tall chap, being able to be so versatile, getting into all these different cars. Okay, we can hear from him now because he's with Craig Slater.
Well, Nico Hülkenberg, an all-German quarter-final with your teammate of yesterday. How do you size it up?
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Against Seb, obviously the German show-off. I hope I'll have the better end for myself. But you know, at Race of Champions, it's really hard to predict. Anybody could win. You know, it really depends how quickly you adapt to the car, how well you get on, and how nicely you hook up the laps. So very unpredictable, but I'm ready.
He's sitting down there not doing interviews. Is he taking this a little bit too seriously?
I don't know, you need to ask him, but he's quite serious about it.
The laps you put in yesterday, I guess that's helped you both, maybe coming in today potentially?
Yeah, for sure it helps. The longer you stay in yesterday, the more practice you get on the track and in different cars. So for sure that's also a little advantage today.
We're looking forward to it. Good luck.
Thank you.
Quite frankly, they're all taking it seriously. I do not believe them for a minute if they say otherwise. Okay, have a look at that then. One half of the quarters is F1 dominated with Vettel against Hülkenberg and Massa Coulthard. And then we've got a lovely mix with Le Mans, British Touring Cars, World Touring Cars and Blancpain Endurance Series. And so, how do you see Massa Coulthard going?
Felipe, again, that terrier I keep talking about, he will be fighting to the bitter end as he always does. David will be all sort of laughy jokey before he gets into the car, as he always is, but of course then it will all change once he gets in the car. But Felipe, again, a bit like Jason, seems to have upped his game today, so I think he's going to have give David a bit of a tough time in that race.
I think you identify with that terrier
Yeah.
attitude, don't you?
They've all
Johnny
got
boy?
it, to be honest. They've all got it at the end of the day.
They wouldn't be there if they didn't. Okay, what about Christensen Plato? Because Plato certainly, I mean, listen, if he did have a big party last night, it's worked well in his favour. He's driving brilliantly today.
Yeah, he'll have another one tonight, knowing him. So, yeah, so he's, again, as I said, he's really improved today. But then Tom is always going to be thereabouts. One thing that's changing, and maybe is going to go better towards the single-seater drivers, the F1 drivers, is probably the track. Because the way it's drying at the moment, I think people like Jason, people like Andy, for example, and maybe Bunkum as well, they're used to that car moving around a bit, where the F1 drivers don't really get that. Now, it's just starting to maybe move slightly towards the F1 boys.
Okay, let's hear from an F1 girl now. It's Susie Wolff.
Susie Petter, Susie, we'll start with you. It's your last competitive outing in motorsport. We saw you give a wave there to the fans. Was it a bit emotional?
It was very emotional, but in a very good way. You know, I'm here amongst some of the best drivers in the world. I got the chance to go out there and have fun. It was a brilliant, brilliant way to finish my career, and I'm on a high.
Great stuff. Petter, I mean, disappointing for you as well to go out so early, but I guess the big focus for you now is next weekend and the chance to defend your rallycross title.
For sure, and I almost felt a tear when she is retiring, you know, when she went out of the car. But she will come back with something, I'm sure. But from my point of view, yeah, you lose sometimes to the best, and Vettel is an unbelievable driver, you know, and a little bit more gravel and stuff. But I enjoyed a lot. But my focus is for Argentina. I'm leaving tomorrow morning, and the team is waiting for me there, so it will be a very exciting end of season race, and we are very, very close to win the World Championship.
I'm going to put you guys on the spot. Who do you think is going to be the Race of Champions champion?
I have to say my fellow teammate Coulthard. Let's see if he can do it all the way like he did last year.
I think I like Coulthard a lot, you know, but I think Vettel is here, and, you know, 4-time world champion, you know, he's good.
Well, let's see what Vettel has to say about that. He's down with Neil in the car changing area.
Sebastian, you're through to the quarterfinal, and you'll be racing against your Team Germany teammate from yesterday. How are you feeling about that?
Well, I think first of all happy that I did the first step. Obviously, it can always be a surprise. So happy that I survived, and I tried to keep surviving.
It was close with Petter, and what was interesting for me is his spotter from World Rallycross was doing the split times every time around, and it's like he showed you them afterwards. It was backwards and forwards.
Yeah, he was writing down the lap times from all of us the whole morning already, so all through yesterday as well. So very keen. It was very, very close. I thought on the second race that he's ahead, and I was already thinking of a third race, but then I guess I just got it right, or maybe he had a bit of a wobble. So happy to, as I said before, happy to be through.
So many times at Race of Champions and not been champion of champions. How much would it mean to do that?
Reminder. Thanks for the reminder. Well, a lot. I've tried obviously for many times. Maybe today's the day. So we'll see.
Good luck. Thank you.
Oh, it matters to him.
Oh, yes, it does
Doesn't
indeed.
it? He didn't even eye contact with Nico then, did he? It's like, I'm not looking at you. I worked with you yesterday, but not today. Today is another day.
Nothing changes, does it? Doesn't matter if it's a Grand Prix weekend or having a bit of fun in the Olympic Stadium. But it's great, because that's what the whole event is all about. It's having that competition. And as we get closer to that sort of final race, that's where everything is really going to be. The pressure is on all around. And whoever it is will want to win it.
Yeah, I mean, just reiterate for us from a racer's perspective, this levels the playing field. Why do they want it so much? Is it for bragging rights to guys and girls in other disciplines?
Yeah, I think it's like if you enter whatever event that may be, you want to go there and you want to win it. And again, with the ROC at the moment, it's got a great reputation of having all the best drivers in the world. So why not try and win it like many have done before?
Okay, quarterfinals coming up. Stay with us. Well, let's make no bones about it. This matters. This matters to Sebastian Vettel. He's been here many times before, won the Nations Cup, competed with the great Michael Schumacher many times, but now he's got the chance to get through to that final and take his first crown as the champion of champions. Will he do it today, Johnny Hebb?
Not going to be easy. You've got Andy Priaulx, who is very confident in what he's able to do in a race car, and we have to mention Alex Buncombe as well. You know, he's a guy with the least experience of all the guys that he's going to be racing against. But I think, yeah, Sebastian against the Hulk. You know, Hulkenberg, I think, will be very, very strong, and I think very hard to beat. I would think Hulk will beat Vettel, personally.
And how difficult is it to jump between these different cars and adapt so quickly, particularly with the changeable conditions?
What's normally strange is you actually adapt to certain ones quicker than you would do on another one. So it really all depends what they will get into when they actually get in on the track. And then there will be one of them who will have a slight advantage just because he's a little bit more confident and comfortable in the car.
And what would be your particular favourite?
Again, I like the big old NASCAR thing. I think that's a great old thing. But I do like the ROC buggy as well. I think that's a really fun one as well, which actually that is what Sebastian likes.
You're not a fan of the Atom, are you?
No, the Atom's always a little bit sort of on edge all the time. It's a different challenge and a different test for everybody. But from the enjoyment factor, I think the buggy is something I always did enjoy.
And the format itself, do you enjoy the format?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Again, knockout rounds the way it is, hunting each other down. The pressure's always on, and the pressure's on for these guys now, trying to get a little bit closer to that Race of Champions final.
And it's about to kick off again, so let's rejoin our commentary team at the stadium.
Taking to our vehicles out there at the moment. The ROC buggy ready to go.
So, Sebastian Vettel being gently reminded he'd never won the individual title. Yes, thanks for that. Well, you know, it's not just him who can rib the other drivers. Neil Cull getting the knife in early as well. Let's see if Vettel can go one up here against the Hulk. Nice smooth line. That's a really good line to just get that long drift going. The less you steer and have to adjust the attitude of the car, the better it will react. It'll be more balanced and more predictable. What we know about Vettel is that he does react very well to changeable circumstances. Track continuing to dry. See how much more light grey tarmac there is, but it does mean that if you get onto a damp bit, it will be properly damp. 2/10, not even.
This is tighter than a tight thing in a very tight situation. They are both going for it. Vettel is deadly serious out there. He wants this, but Hulkenberg is not going to let him go without a good battle. So half a lap to go. Vettel and Hulkenberg is very close in this.
This should go to best of 3. It can't be that close, surely, and then be a 2-0 win. Vettel with the tiniest advantage. 600ths of a second in the first lap and extends that. Hulkenberg slowed a lot on the way to the line, and I'm wondering why. And again, like in the crossbow last time, Vettel working the brake pedal, the throttle, locking up those front wheels to try and get some heat into the tyres and the wheels and into the brakes as well, to make sure that everything is as smooth as possible.
It's amazing, depending on how much curve you take at that final turn on the exterior line. It's so crucial because that is the longest part of this circuit, and if you get a good coming out of that corner, then you know that you take all of that through to the first turn.
Just saw champions Plato and Priaulx again conferring and swapping notes on what does and doesn't work.
They could face each other in the semi-final in this.
Could do. So they won't both go all the way, and that was not a great start, was it? Hulkenberg fluffed it away from the line there, but Vettel was fully committed. One of the great joys of this is to see the drivers working so hard. You know, a great driver in a car that shows him at work is a real joy to behold.
All or nothing for Hulkenberg now. He has to step up if he wants to continue in this competition. He can't let Vettel get away and have the advantage. Where are they as they come through to the first proper split?
And Seb with the lead. The Hulk is down by a second.
Surely that is too much to make up if Sebastian Vettel does not make a mistake.
If he doesn't make a mistake and gather a penalty, then Hulkenberg is going out.
He was close to the barrier there, but he knows exactly the margins he is playing with. He is a skilled operator.
He'll be allowed one brush with the barriers or one ditch hooking episode. You'll get a yellow card for that. Beyond that, we will have time penalties added. And there is no need for that. Sebastian Vettel wins it 2-0. Spurred into attack, clearly by the words of Neil Cole. That's a 2. I'm not quite sure what's going on with the... that's 2 pointy fingers. Just getting a few celebratory donuts in.
It's making me hungry. Donuts, someone said donuts.
Yeah.
Vettel, of course, did the massive donut celebration when he won the world's title in India. Didn't get too much told off for it. He got a bit of a fine, but he said he was absolutely happy to pay the fine if he got to do donuts and entertain everybody. And that's the kind of guy that Sebastian Vettel is. Serious, but when it comes to it, he does like to put on a show. Oh, that was a heavy clunk, wasn't it?
That was close enough. If you get to the wall with the front wheel first, then suddenly you get to the next corner and find it doesn't turn exactly like it did the last time. And that then becomes a major issue because you're expecting it to do exactly what it did the last time. And you commit to that. Sebastian Vettel with the safety guard up and getting the donuts in.
And look at the packed stands, people in there. Thousands have come down here to see the Race of Champions. They want to know who will be crowned Champion of Champions. And I tell you what, David Coulthard, our reigning champion, is about to take to the circuit. He will take on Felipe Massa in this ultimate cycling style shootout to see if the best of 3 who will go through to face Sebastian Vettel in the semi-final. So first out is David Coulthard. He will be on the interior line.
This could be very entertaining. Coulthard, the reigning champion. Bit of a download and debrief from the Hulk with Sebastian Vettel. Losing finalist yesterday in the Nations Cup. So will Vettel be able to go all the way in the individual Champion of Champions contest? David Coulthard, losing finalist in Barbados last year with Susie Wolf and Team Scotland, and then went on to individual glory the next day. Could lightning strike twice?
He'd like it to. Although he's been on the start line for a long time. Massa was wise there, just playing the game. So you see Massa there in the orange highlighted car and the white David Coulthard.
Coulthard had the white highlights in the Mercedes when he beat Susie Wolf, and maybe the white highlights on the KTM will be a little lucky.
Are you insinuating he's going grey? Yeah. White highlights, is that what you call it?
There's snow on the roof.
Right, Felipe Massa comes across. That is the first indicator, but not a real true reflection of where they are. It'll be the next lap round that we get a real true tale of who is leading this at the halfway point.
On board with Massa, look through the turn, looking for the line. There it is, there it is. Power, power, power. Brake hard now, turn in. Let the rear catch up with the momentum and then slide all the way through to the second left-hander. Coulthard with the advantage, 3500s. So needs to find more pace as well as that nice fluid driving style of his. This looks as though it is going the Scots way. Coulthard is really super relaxed this weekend behind the wheel, isn't he? It's just all flowing so nicely.
As he comes around to take the checkered flag, it is David Coulthard. I think Massa did come back at him, but it wasn't enough. 0.48 of a second, so Coulthard gets the first of these rounds.
Coulthard is the reigning champion, set the bar high in the gag department as well, didn't he, in the press conference to start the weekend. Joke Meister Central, and he's had a very good run behind the steering wheel as well.
His was one of the rounds yesterday that was extremely close. Very close to call.
0.0051 he beat Jenson Button by.
He did describe it, but I'm not sure I'm going to tell you what his description
he
of that
lost
was.
to Jenson Button by that much, didn't he?
Yes, yeah.
He said he should have used part of his body to get across the line first.
Wasn't his nose. Right, David Coulthard is one up for Felipe Massa. Do anything about it. Now he's got the inside line.
Massa must now win this one to stay in the competition and force a third and deciding run against Coulthard. DC, see the psychological part of it as well. Having that win under your belt at this level of experience, these guys aren't going to then panic and give away a 1-goal lead. They're already one up, and now they're looking for the second one immediately. Nobody in this business sits on a 1-0 lead.
It's all about momentum in motorsport, isn't it? We ask the question in our reporting all the time.
Oh, this is very close at the line. 0.05 of a second. Massa really on his game now. Coulthard can't afford to blink in the wrong place. There's your reigning champion. And will Massa be able to find what it takes on this last half of a lap to bring the Scot back to even Stevens? Jenny is jigging up and down beside me with excitement or something.
It's quite cold, but no, Coulthard comes around the final.
I think this is going to make it 1-1. Oh! And it is Coulthard by 0.04 of a second over Felipe Massa. DC 2-0 wins again. Second one was much closer, but they both count. DC stays in the game. TK offering his commiserations, congratulations to Felipe Massa, as our third quarter-final is getting ready for preparation. Neil Cole's down there waiting to have a word with Felipe, as you see closest to us. Jason Plato wriggling into his buggy. And Tom Christensen is already in the one with the orange highlights. Let's hear from Felipe Massa.
Felipe, that was so close. What did David have that you couldn't quite match?
I don't know. I mean, I know it was very close. I was just looking. I didn't know who was in front or not. But I had a little bit of mistakes, you know, when a little bit on the oversteer outside. But it was okay. I mean, we enjoy. Would love to pass another one, but he did a better job, so he will pass.
It's great to see you to get to the quarterfinals. And have you've been enjoying Race of Champions? Because it's a long time since we've seen you at Race of Champions.
Yeah, I was here maybe 10 years ago, and yeah, it's always a big fun here, enjoying, and good people, very friendly, and so the organization is fantastic. It's always a big pleasure to be here.
Now that you can relax and watch the racing, who's your tip to win today?
Not easy. It's quite difficult. I would say maybe Priot. He did a very good job yesterday, so he had a very good potential to win again, so maybe him.
Okay, thank you.
So Felipe Massa there, the Williams driver, out of the competition. And next up, this is what they're going to be fighting for, Christensen and Plato.
Okay, so we've got our first semi-final confirmed, Sebastian Vettel versus David Coulthard. Tell me, when you looked at the matchup between Vettel and Hulkenberg, do you think the result could have been different if it had been different vehicles?
Well, as soon as I saw him in the buggy, Sebastian, I thought this is going to be his. But I think
Why so?
I think it's just it suits a certain way that you drive, and I think Sebastian has got that sort of smoothness which enabled him to sort of drift that car quite perfectly. I think if it was in the Merc, I think then that's when Hulkenberg probably would have come into his own, because I think he seemed to have a knack of really getting the car to come out the corner, where the buggy, it's all about sliding and you haven't really got that traction.
Okay, and David Coulthard, by the skin of his teeth, just picking Felipe Massa. Yeah, he did enough.
He did.
So how do you see it going between Coulthard and Vettel?
Again, I think that's where I think they're in the Mercs, I believe. I think for that one, so that's going to be a little bit more of an equaliser in that way. But I think Sebastian.
Okay, but before that, we're going to see Christensen versus Plato. That's up next.
Fleshman. So there is the gorgeous Jason Plato, double British Touring Car champion. With a bit of a jiggle for you there, he was a runner-up in the ROC Nations Cup, but he was the winner last night alongside Andy Priault. And now he will take to the track to see if he can get into the semi-final, where he would face Andy Priault if he can win this.
43, he's been lying to you. Born in 1967, 48-year-old old man Jason Plato. However, Tom Christensen is of a similar level of experience, and of course they did race against each other in British touring cars. Oh, and Plato jumps the start, so that will be a time penalty.
Ouchie, 5 seconds added will make it
5
almost
seconds
impossible.
plus the time by which he jumped it. So Jason Plato goes one down immediately, and that's how tense they are getting now. Tom Christensen's already lost his flag. Jason Plato there with the Union flag on the roof. Lives in Oxfordshire. Well, it's not just our eyes. Race Control have confirmed that there was a jump start, so the penalty is 0.66 of a second, plus, I understand, 5 seconds, but either way, it means that Christensen has, as soon as he saw Plato flinch before the lights changed, and they are looking across at each other as well as the lights between them, he will have known that he had something in hand, and you can't give any of these drivers even a psychological advantage, never mind an actual advantage.
Yeah, Plato was down anyway after the first lap, Marcus, so maybe that was a little bit academic. He must have known what he'd done in his head anyway. So as Christensen comes round, he takes the checkered flag. It is the first blood to Christensen. Plato will be frustrated with himself, and a frustrated driver doesn't always make the best driver.
So 6.8 behind. He wasn't 6.8 behind at the line. He was 1.8. No, he was 1.2 behind the line, because 5.6 of that was the jump start penalty.
Oh, you're good at your maths.
Not really. Somebody will now tweet us to say, in fact, you idiot, he was only 0.76 behind because you can't subtract.
Let me just get my phone. I'll do that right now.
My mental arithmetic is not worth the paper on which it is written. So here is the moment. That is the jump start for Jason. He decided, right, be hung for a sheep is for a lamb, let's just floor it and get going, because they all know what the penalty is going to be. It's going to be heinous.
Very, very costly. So he won't want to do the same thing again. Let's see how he goes. Plato on the inside, Christensen on the outside. Lights are coming on.
Race for survival here for Jason Plato with his back to us. Good start from him. You see the tyres light up as he gets into the first turn quickly. Plato must win. And again, we talked about this in the last run. Winning the first encounter gives you a big moral advantage. Christensen will want to nail this immediately. He ran a little deep there as he came to that last right-hander to the line.
Look at that, the concentration. He's using every bit of his brain to try and get this car around the track as smoothly as he can. Over the curb he goes. He'll feel a jolt as he does that. Onto the start-finish straight. This is tight. This is tight.
Now, notice that he's not wearing the glasses that he was wearing in the open cars, so they're obviously not for visibility. As you said yesterday, they are instead of goggles or a visor, so he's not wearing
Look at the time split after the first full lap, 0.008 of a second. That is close. Everything to play for here, because Plato must win. Christensen won't want him.
No. Half a lap to go. They are both drifting towards the line, and who is going to be in front? This could be monumentally tight, but it's Christensen that has it by a big margin there. And the onboard with Tom Christensen shows you how physical even these buggies on a tight track are. Imagine what a prototype with all the downforce and grip that you get at Le Mans is like.
Ryan, an early exit for you, I'm afraid. But how have you enjoyed this Race of Champions?
I always love coming to Race of Champions. It's an honor to be amongst this field, but had a pretty good run this weekend. You know, yesterday we went up against the defending champs, Team Nordic, and won 2 races there, but not the third. And then today won 2 to start out. And Andy Priol has just been on a roll. He's been really rolling it in. So hopefully he can go the whole way. He did yesterday. He put everyone. He brought everyone into school yesterday. So hopefully he can do it again today. So I think I lost against one of the best out there.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
So an all-British quarterfinal. It is Priol versus Buncombe. Buncombe in the orange highlighted car, and Priol on the inside in the white highlighted Mercedes AMG. We are ready to go here.
Got to say, I'm not entirely sure you can find too much to argue with Ryan Hunter-Reay. Andy Priol is really in a rare vein of form at the moment. That could be the commentator's curse, in which
Harsh
case.
as well, rare vein of form.
Well, no, I mean, I don't mean unusual. I mean as in extreme vein of form. I've seen him when he almost couldn't lose, and he has that feeling. Buncombe ahead halfway round, but that is only halfway round. So Prio, as they come to the line, and the gap between them is tiny. Anything under a tenth of a second, the drivers won't know who's in front, and that really adds to the pressure, Jenny. As if there wasn't enough already.
Especially in these cars, because the Mercedes, the first time here at the Race of Champions, they're so far back compared to a lot of the cars they're used to driving that nose is a very long conk on that car. But who is in front as they come round to take the checkered flag?
It's going to be Andy Prio. He's got the time to run to the line. Oh no! Very close indeed. Was it Al Buncombe? It was Al Buncombe, 1700ths of a second. Now, who's in with Al? Trying to recognise the eyes. I think that's Rebecca Jones. Let's check. And that was very close. So Buncombe really came back at Andy on that second lap. Now they return to the start line in the opposite lane from which they initially launched. So heading around the track from the other side.
You see Buncombe there with his glasses on, as you were saying earlier, in the orange highlighted car. He now takes the inside line. And look at that, Prio right over to the far side of his line, trying to get the best run into the first turn to sweep round and keep the momentum going. He needs to win this, Prio.
Buncombe as well. The run from the line to the first corner turn-in is identical in both lanes, but...
Oh dear, poor start from Prio there.
With a tighter first corner, Prio carrying more speed through turn 1 and 2, and then it tightens up in turn 3 here for the car with the white highlights. Now, did he just have less wheel spin and a better launch? Or was Al Buncombe ahead of him?
So race control say it was a clean start by both drivers, no penalty for either of them.
In fact, Jason Plato's jump start is the only penalty we've had so far in a day and a half of racing. At the line first time, it looked like it was just Buncombe. It was just Buncombe. Now Prio, to stay in and undo my commentator's curse, clearly must win this. Al Buncombe helping him there with a big long slide. And that might just be what Prio needed to get back into the game.
Taking up to the final turn then for Prio. Can he come back at Buncombe? Can this be 1-1? Oh, he's gunning for it as he comes into the final turn. He comes around.
And
I think
Prio
he's got this.
1-1.
Whoa.
Yes, big slide from Al Buncombe at the beginning of the second lap was enough to give away the half-second advantage he had. And Andy Prio celebrates with a little bit of wheel spin as he comes back to the line. And all the drivers now understand the way it works. You just go around another half a lap and you're back where you should be for the next run. Let's take a look at the launch. Well, Buncombe went first, and Prio, as you said at the time, didn't get the greatest drive off the line. But this is the last corner, and look how he gets the car to turn and then drills it to the line.
Tell you what, Martin, we haven't had a 1-1 draw for a while in this, certainly not in this stage of the competition. So we have to go back to Prio and the line.
Yes, in
for
the
last
first
time.
round.
Prio likes to leave it to the last minute, and he's proving that right now. Can he do it? They are back off again.
So Prio, to remind you, with the white highlights, with the orange highlights, you're looking at Alex Buncombe. So a 3-time World Touring Car Champion versus the reigning Blancpain Endurance Series champion.
Plato is trying to get every ounce out of that car that he possibly can, using all of the track.
Prio with a big old slide there as they came to the line. Now at the end of the first complete lap, another big slide for Prio. Are the Mercedes tyres starting to say, no, that's about enough, and Buncombe is going to be in front in the deciding run. Prio must find half a second on this lap to take back that quarter of a second and another quarter just in case.
As you say, every time Prio goes around, the first turn for him is really trying to fight the car, and the wheels are just squealing on those tyres.
Can Andy Prio do enough, or will Al Buncombe go through to face Tom Christensen in the semi?
Tight,
this
tight.
Is very tight. Buncombe's got the quicker run to the line, and he's going to be just in front from our viewpoint, just in front, 1600ths of a second. Buncombe doesn't know, now he does. He celebrates in the car as he looks at the big screen for confirmation, and Al Buncombe goes through. Andy Prio is out.
Wow, would you believe it? Andy Prio is out. Can't believe it.
Shock horror.
No, but fair play to Al Buncombe.
Oh, absolutely. Again, he drives a Nissan GTR in the Blancpain series, so again, it's a similar sort of weighted car.
Quite heavy.
Probably, yeah, handles probably in a very similar manner. So actually, it probably suited him much more than Prio with a sort of a British touring car, which is a little bit more sort of, I don't know, difficult to drive.
Even bearing that in mind, though, he looked surprised at the end there, didn't he, when he saw that he'd won it? It was so close.
Well, it was so close, and I think that's the whole thing. It's the pressure's on. You've always got to sort of try and sort of not make mistakes, which is exactly what happened in the race before. He ran wide, and that enabled Prio to come back into it. But again, he did make a mistake there, and Al's gone through. And again, the man with the least experience out there.
Excellent. Let's have a look at the tree then and remind ourselves of the semi-final lineup. So, we've got Sebastian Vettel up against David Coulthard in the first semi-final, and Tom Christensen versus Al Buncombe in the second. You probably wouldn't have predicted that, would you?
No, not at all. I don't think, no, that wouldn't have been the case. Tom, yes, you always think he's going to get there. Sebastian, yes, you always think that four-time world champion. And then David. David's always sort of there. He loves all this sort of shenanigans that goes on sort of off the track, but then once he gets on it, the competitiveness is still there with him. So we've got four great drivers there. One of them, Al Buncombe, is the one who's probably the darker horse of the lot. No one knows him, and no one knows what type of style that he's got.
You sneak up on the inside. Right, let's hear from Gerard Lopez. He's with Craig Slater.
Thank you. Yeah, lots of big names from the world of Formula One, movers and shakers like Gerard Lopez, who's still team principal of Lotus, but are you about to transfer ownership? Where are we with that Renault takeover?
No, I mean, we're in the midst of that right now, and obviously I became team principal by default, not because it was a role that I necessarily wanted to have. Indeed, if it goes ahead or where it goes ahead now, I won't be having that position anymore.
I know there's not too much you can say about the deal. I guess we're at quite a significant stage, so there's about, a month or so to go to that deadline you were given. Do you think it will get over the line?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're pretty much there with Renault. I understand that Renault still has some things they need to clear with Formula One of FOM, but as far as we're concerned, I think we're pretty much at a deal now.
Will that be you finished with Formula One, Gerard? And how would you look back on your time in the Piranha Club?
No, it won't be finished, funny enough, because they've asked me to stay on. So if and when a deal happens, I will stay on. But still as an owner, but not in the capacity I had now. And I'll look at it as an amazing adventure. I mean, you take over a team, they're into the championship, you end up winning races. So one race, did a couple of 23 podiums. So very exciting time for a private team. So quite proud about what the team has achieved. Yeah.
Well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, it's an indication just how serious these guys take it, that the great and the good of Formula One do flood to the Race of Champions every year, don't they?
Yeah, and again, I think that's what has been really good with Frederick Johnson, who sort of started off many years ago with Michel Mouton, a World Rally race winner. And I remember she used to drive her Audi Quattro actually at a couple of events, and he used to spit out flames out the side of the car. It was actually a great show. But yes, it's just part and parcel of what they've been able to create, and it's just got stronger and stronger, and everybody wants to keep on coming back.
Well, the semi-finals promise to be a great show as well. They're coming up next.